In a world obsessed with doing, this audiobook teaches the lost art of being. You'll discover how stillness activates the universe and why your inner state is the real source of manifestation. Relax, and the universe will obey. The Inner Shift. Introduction. Within the veiled corridors of ancient knowing, there hums a truth, subtle as breath, yet potent enough to awaken the slumbering soul. Those who touch this essence find their world transformed, their vision unclouded. The power you yearn for does not reside in the relentless motion of the outer world, but in the hallowed stillness that lingers between your thoughts. Since the dawn of time, this sacred current has flowed unseen, carried in the murmurs of sages, the silent chants of mystics, and the songs of the stars. Yet amid the ceaseless pursuit of achievement and the noise of doing, you have drifted far from what your ancestors embraced. The great dance of the cosmos unfolds not through striving, but through attunement. You have been conditioned to resist, to wage silent wars against the tides of life, mistaking effort for worthiness. But the eternal law whispers a gentler truth. As the lotus does not wrench itself into bloom, and the river does not wrestle its way to the sea, so too your journey toward abundance unfolds not in resistance, but in resonance. This timeless wisdom speaks of a luminous force within, a silent magnetism that draws to you the reflections of your innermost self. When you release the urge to grasp and instead enter the sanctum of surrender, this quiet power stirs. Like the turning of an ancient key, this inner shift unseals gateways that force alone could never unlock. The universe listens not to the clamor of your actions, but to the silent song of your being. In the tranquil spaces between your thoughts, in the soft acceptance of the present, you touch the wellspring of all that is. This is the forgotten alchemy of creation, not born from effort, but from essence. With each word you absorb, you step deeper into the path woven by seekers across millennia. Their presence lingers, their wisdom etched into the fabric of existence, reminding you, true strength arises not from conquest, but from communion, not from holding tightly, but from letting go, not from forcing the flow, but from merging with it. You now stand at the threshold of remembrance, on the cusp of reclaiming a birthright long veiled. The power you seek has never been absent. It has simply awaited your return to listening, to feeling, to being. Part 1. The Realization. You are not what you were taught. Chapter 1. The First Whisper. In the heart of a small town lived Eleanor, a watchmaker whose nimble fingers had mended countless timepieces. Each evening, as she closed her shop and the world grew quiet, a whisper would emerge from the depths of her consciousness. You already have the power. Night after night, this message echoed through her dreams, until one evening, instead of dismissing it, she simply listened. This truth you now encounter is the same that Eleanor discovered. The power you seek has always resided within. Like a master watchmaker who understands that each gear and spring must align perfectly, your internal state creates the precise mechanism that manifests your external reality. The law of attraction operates not through mere positive thinking, but through the complete alignment of your being. Your thoughts, emotions, and deepest beliefs form an energetic signature that the universe mirrors back with perfect precision. When you understand this, you realize that manifestation is not about asking, but about becoming. Each thought you hold, each emotion you nurture, radiates a frequency into the universal field. This field, ancient and ever-present, responds not to what you want, but to what you are. The universe does not grant power. It reflects the power you already embody. One day, Eleanor faced a decision that would test this wisdom. A wealthy collector offered to buy her entire shop, promising financial security, but requiring an immediate answer. The familiar whisper urged her to decline, suggesting greater opportunities ahead. Yet doubt crept in, and she hesitated, questioning her inner knowing. She accepted the offer, only to discover later that a prestigious watchmaking school had planned to partner with an independent artisan, an opportunity that would have fulfilled her lifelong dream. Through this experience, Eleanor understood that her hesitation came not from external uncertainty, but from momentarily forgetting her own power. The universe had aligned perfect circumstances, but she had doubted the wisdom flowing through her. Your power lies not in what you do, but in who you are. When you align with this truth, the universe conspires to reflect your inner certainty. The external world rearranges itself to match your internal reality. Ancient practice of power alignment. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit in complete stillness for 10 minutes. As you breathe deeply, repeat silently, "I hold the power. I already am." Let these words sink into every cell of your being. After the practice, take your journal and write down the first emotion that surfaces. This emotion reveals where you truly stand in your relationship with your inner power. Chapter 2. Relaxing is the key that unlocks. In the bustling heart of a modern city, Clara, a young mother, orchestrated her days with military precision. Her calendar burst with color-coded appointments, her phone buzzed with endless reminders, and her mind raced with perpetual to-do lists. Each morning began with a battle against time. Each evening ended in exhaustion, yet she wore her busyness like a badge of honor. Until one day her body simply stopped. No dramatic collapse, no crisis, just a quiet rebellion of spirit that left her unable to move from her sofa. In that forced stillness, something extraordinary began to unfold. When you release the grip of constant doing, you activate a power far greater than effort. The universe operates not through force, but through flow. Like water finding its natural course, life arranges itself most perfectly when you cease trying to control every detail. Your nervous system is an instrument of infinite intelligence. When you exist in a state of ease, this instrument tunes itself to the frequency of divine timing. Synchronicities that once seemed elusive begin to appear effortlessly. Opportunities arise not through relentless pursuit, but through aligned presence. This truth challenges everything you've been taught about achievement. You've learned that success comes through pushing, planning, and controlling. Yet the deepest wisdom reveals that ease is not laziness, it is power. When you relax into trust, you allow the universal current to carry you toward your highest good. Clara discovered this truth one autumn morning. She had planned to attend a networking event she'd been pursuing for months. Her babysitter canceled last minute, and despite her frantic attempts to find a replacement, nothing worked. Frustrated and defeated, she finally surrendered to a quiet morning at home with her child. That same afternoon, while playing in the park, she met a woman who would become not just a business partner, but a lifelong friend and mentor. The connection she had been forcing through networking emerged naturally in a moment of letting go. What you resist persists. What you embrace transforms. The tension you carry, disguised as productivity, actually blocks the very flow you seek to create. When you release this resistance, you open yourself to a river of grace that has been waiting to carry you all along. Ancient practice of divine ease. Find a comfortable place to lie down. Place one hand on your heart, the other on your stomach. Allow your body to be fully supported. Whisper softly to yourself, "It is safe to relax." For the next 7 minutes, simply breathe. Let each exhale carry away the weight of doing, striving, and controlling. Feel yourself melting into the embrace of universal timing. Chapter 3. The Myth of Hard Work. In the depths of a mountain valley, where coal dust painted the air and stained men's souls, Walter trudged daily into the darkness. For 40 years his calloused hands carved wealth from the earth, yet abundance seemed to mock him from a distance. Each payday brought just enough to survive, never enough to thrive. You have been taught that prosperity flows from the fountain of endless effort, that wealth must be extracted through force, like ore from unyielding stone. Yet this ancient belief carries within it the seeds of its own limitation. The universe responds not to your labor, but to your state of being. When you chase abundance through ceaseless toil, you broadcast a frequency of lack. Your very pursuit becomes a declaration to the universe that what you seek is separate from you, requiring strain to obtain. One evening, bone-weary and questioning everything, Walter paused his walk home. Instead of his usual path, his feet carried him to an abandoned railway siding. There, in a forgotten cargo car, lay a leather-bound book, its chapters yellow with age. As he opened it, his hands trembling, words seemed to glow from the page. Abundance is not earned. It is allowed. In that moment, something shifted within him. The weight of 40 years lifted from his shoulders. He realized that all his striving had been a dance of unworthiness, a belief that prosperity must be purchased with sweat and struggle. The truth whispers differently. You are not meant to force the door of abundance open. You are meant to realize it was never locked. Your natural state is not lack requiring remedy through labor, but abundance seeking expression through alignment. Walter's discovery transformed more than his understanding. It transformed his reality. Within months, opportunities began flowing without effort. A forgotten pension plan surfaced. A small inheritance arrived from a distant relative. His son's business venture blossomed, bringing the family unexpected prosperity. None of these blessings came from working harder. They emerged when Walter finally allowed himself to receive them without resistance. When he released the belief that worthiness must be earned through struggle, you stand now at this same threshold of understanding. The universe awaits your surrender to ease, your acceptance that abundance flows not from doing, but from being. Sacred practice of allowing. Take your journal and write down one area of life where you find yourself overexerting, pushing against the natural flow. Beneath it, inscribe these words: I trust ease to bring results. Let this declaration serve as your permission to release the struggle, to allow prosperity to find you through the path of least resistance. Chapter 4. The universe responds to stillness. In a sun-dappled cottage at the edge of a forgotten wood, Virginia stood before her easel, brush trembling in her hand. For years her paintings had emerged from dreams as naturally as breath, mystical landscapes and ethereal figures that seemed to whisper ancient truths. But now the well has run dry. You know this emptiness, the desperate grasping when inspiration retreats, when the flow that once moved through you becomes still. Like Virginia, you may find yourself trying to force what once came freely, pushing against the silence as though it were an enemy to be conquered. Yet within this apparent void lies a sacred truth. Stillness is not absence, it is presence in its purest form. When you cease the endless doing, the eternal striving, you create space for the universe to speak. In the quiet, wisdom flows not as a torrent, but as gentle drops of golden light. Virginia spent weeks fighting the silence, filling her studio with noise, music, podcasts, endless chatter. Her canvases remained blank, her dreams mute. Until one morning, exhausted from resistance, she simply sat. No expectations, no demands. In that moment of surrender, something shifted. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its messages arrive not in the chaos of motion, but in the depths of stillness. Like the surface of a lake must become still to reflect the stars, your mind must quiet to receive divine inspiration. In the silence, Virginia began to perceive new colors, ones that existed beyond physical sight. Her paintings transformed, becoming portals to truths she had never before accessed. The void she had feared became a womb of creation. This is the paradox you must embrace. Creativity, inspiration, and divine guidance flow most freely when you stop trying to grasp them. When you allow silence to be your teacher, every moment becomes pregnant with possibility. Sacred practice of stillness. Set aside 1 hour of complete silence. No devices, no distractions, no doing. Simply be present with what arises in the quiet. Keep a journal nearby and record what emerges. Not just thoughts, but sensations, images, and whispers from the depths of your being. Let the silence speak and listen with your whole self. As you practice this sacred ritual, you may notice resistance at first, the mind's desperate attempts to fill the void with noise. This is natural. Allow these surface disturbances to settle like leaves falling onto still waters. Trust that beneath the initial discomfort lies a wellspring of wisdom waiting to be discovered. Your task is not to force insights, but to create the space where divine inspiration can naturally arise. In time, you will find that these moments of stillness become treasured sanctuaries where the deepest truths of your soul can finally be heard. Chapter 5. Emotion. In the dimly lit corners of a small jazz club, Samuel sat at his piano, fingers moving with technical precision across the keys. Night after night, he performed flawlessly, yet something essential remained missing. His music, though perfect in execution, failed to move hearts, including his own. You see, the universe responds not to perfection, but to resonance. Like Samuel, you may have mastered the external forms while neglecting the internal frequency that gives them life. The notes you play in the grand symphony of existence arise not from your thoughts, but from the vibration of your emotional being. When you understand this truth, manifestation becomes an art of feeling rather than forcing. Your emotions are not mere responses to life. They are the very language through which you communicate with the infinite. Each feeling sends ripples through the fabric of reality, attracting experiences that match its frequency. Samuel discovered this one night when, overwhelmed by grief over his mother's passing, he let his guard down at the piano. His fingers, freed from the prison of perfectionism, began to channel pure emotion. The audience fell silent, touched by something beyond melody. The raw truth of human experience transformed into sound. That night marked a turning point. Samuel had tried countless positive affirmations, vision boards, and manifestation techniques, but it wasn't until he allowed himself to feel deeply, to become one with his emotions rather than controlling them, that his music and his life transformed. Like water flowing through a river, emotions must move to maintain their power. When you dam them up with judgment or resistance, you create blockages in your manifestation channel. Yet when you allow yourself to fully experience each feeling, you open a direct line of communication with the universe. This truth extends far beyond music. Whether you seek abundance, love, or purpose, the key lies not in perfect thoughts, but in emotional alignment. When you learn to generate and sustain the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you become a living magnet for its physical manifestation. Sacred practice of emotional embodiment. Take a moment now to identify something you deeply desire. Rather than focusing on the external form, sink into the emotion you would feel upon its realization. Would you feel freedom, joy, peace, security? Choose one primary emotion and give yourself permission to fully embody it for the next 5 minutes. Let this feeling permeate every cell of your being. This is not pretending. It is practicing the frequency of your future reality. Chapter 6. Letting Go of the Outcome. In a small town among rolling hills, Dorothy stood in her husband's old study, running her fingers across dusty blueprints. Each morning for 3 years, she had examined these papers, trying to breathe life into dreams that were no longer here. The plans for an innovative, sustainable housing project, her late husband Thomas's unrealized vision, had become both her comfort and her cage. You too may be holding on to a specific vision with such intensity that you've forgotten the universe's capacity for infinite possibilities. When you clutch tightly to one path, you unknowingly close yourself to countless others that could bring even greater fulfillment. The art of manifestation requires a paradoxical truth. To receive what you desire, you must first release your grip on how it should arrive. This is not abandonment of your dreams, but rather a profound trust in their unfolding. Like water, abundance flows most freely through open hands. Dorothy discovered this truth one autumn morning when, finally accepting that keeping the blueprints wouldn't bring Thomas back, she gifted them to a young architect who reminded her of him. That very afternoon, while clearing the now empty study, she uncovered her own forgotten sketches, designs for community gardens she'd drawn years before meeting Thomas. In letting go of his dream, she created space for her own to resurface. The universe operates through surrender, not control. When you release your attachment to specific outcomes, you allow divine intelligence to work through infinite channels. Your role is not to orchestrate every detail, but to remain open to unexpected gifts. In the months that followed, Dorothy's community garden project blossomed beyond anything she could have planned. The sustainable housing complex was eventually built by others, incorporating elements of both Thomas's vision and her own green spaces. By releasing her grip on one dream, she enabled something even more beautiful to emerge. This principle extends to every aspect of manifestation. The more you try to control the exact form of your desire's fulfillment, the more you restrict its arrival. True power lies in holding your intention while remaining detached from the method of its manifestation. Sacred practice of release. Take a piece of paper and write down one goal that you've been trying to control. Feel the weight of your attachment to its specific form. Now either burn the paper safely or fold it into a tiny square. As you do this, speak these words with conviction. I release control. I receive it with ease. Let this ritual be a physical representation of your willingness to trust in the universe's perfect timing and infinite wisdom. Chapter 7. The Field That Knows You. In the dense jungles of a distant land, Raymond felt an inexplicable urge to change his usual patrol route. Without understanding why, he led his unit down an unfamiliar path. Hours later, they discovered their regular route had been compromised. That unexplained feeling had preserved not just his life, but those of his entire unit. You exist within an intelligent universe that communicates through subtle frequencies rather than explicit directions. Before your logical mind processes information, your energetic body has already received guidance from the quantum field. This field, this living matrix of consciousness, operates beyond the limitations of time and space, responding to resonance rather than resistance. The universe speaks first in whispers, a slight unease, a mysterious pull, an unexpected thought. These subtle messages arise from your connection to the vast intelligence that surrounds you. When you align with this field, you tap into knowledge that transcends your individual awareness. Manifestation is not a solo endeavor. You are engaged in a continuous dance with universal consciousness, which responds not to your thoughts alone, but to your energetic coherence. When you tune into this field, you become aware of currents of possibility flowing beneath the surface of ordinary reality. One stormy evening, Raymond stood guard at his post when a peculiar sensation drew his attention to the eastern perimeter, an area outside his assigned zone. Following this inexplicable guidance, he discovered a breach in the compound's security that would have gone unnoticed until too late. In that moment, he understood that he had never truly been alone in his vigilance. This truth extends beyond military intuition to every aspect of life. The quantum field knows what your conscious mind cannot yet see. It responds to the resonance of your being, not to the force of your will. When you learn to trust these subtle promptings, you align with an intelligence far greater than individual perception. Your role in manifestation is not to figure everything out alone, but to attune yourself to the wisdom already present in the field. Like Raymond, you are surrounded by an invisible guidance system, always broadcasting on frequencies of intuition and synchronicity. Sacred practice of field attunement. For the next 3 mornings before your day begins, sit in complete stillness. Ask silently, "What does the field know that I don't?" Remain receptive, allowing any impressions, feelings, or knowings to arise naturally. Record these intuitive messages, however subtle they may seem. This practice strengthens your connection to the quantum intelligence that surrounds you, teaching you to trust the wisdom that precedes logical understanding. Chapter 8, Desire Without Resistance. In a small village among rolling hills, a midwife named Evelyn tended to new mothers, bringing countless lives into the world. Each night, as she walked home to her tiny rented room above the local apothecary, she would pause before a stone cottage on the outskirts of town, its windows dark, its garden overgrown, yet in her heart she saw warm lights and blooming roses. But as quickly as these visions arose, she would push them away, believing such dreams belonged to others, not to one who served. You must understand, desire itself is neither selfish nor wrong. It is the pure language of the soul speaking its truth to the universe. When you feel shame about what you want, you create resistance to its manifestation. The universe responds not to what you say you want, but to the energy with which you hold that wanting. Clean desire, untainted by guilt, unburdened by fear, unmarred by pressure, acts as a clear beacon to universal forces. Like a pure note ringing through still air, it travels unimpeded through the quantum field. But when desire is wrapped in shame or doubt, it becomes distorted, like a signal lost in static. Late one autumn evening, as Evelyn assisted a wealthy merchant's wife in childbirth, she overheard the family discussing their plans to sell their second home, the very stone cottage she had long admired. Her heart leaped, but she quickly suppressed the feeling, telling herself she was being presumptuous. For weeks after, opportunities regarding the cottage kept arising, yet she turned away from each one, believing she didn't deserve such beauty in her life. Then one night, watching a mother cradle her newborn with pure joy, Evelyn realized Just as this child arrived through grace, so too could her dreams manifest through divine right. In that moment, she allowed herself to fully own her desire for a home without apology or explanation. Within days, an unexpected inheritance arrived, providing exactly the means needed for the cottage. Your desires are not random thoughts. They are sacred seeds planted by the universe itself. When you deny them, you deny the divine spark within you. The universe cannot deliver what you refuse to fully claim. Like water flowing through a pipe, abundance can only move through clear channels of acceptance. Sacred practice of pure desire. Take a single piece of paper and write your deepest desire in one clear sentence. Let the words flow without justification or qualification. Each morning, stand before a mirror and speak this desire aloud, allowing your voice to carry the pure tone of worthiness. No explanations needed, no apologies given. Simply state your desire as a birthright, as natural as breathing. This practice aligns your energy with the frequency of receiving, clearing the channel between you and your manifestation. Chapter 9: Receiving Without Earning. In the quiet halls of a bustling office building, Harold moved through his nightly routine, his mop creating gentle ripples across the polished floor. Each evening, he would collect discarded lottery tickets and abandoned raffle stubs, tucking them into his pocket, not to enter, but to remind himself that such dreams belong to others. You must recognize this pattern within yourself, the habit of deflecting abundance when it appears at your door. For when Harold's name was drawn in the company raffle, winning an all-expenses-paid journey to a tropical paradise, his first instinct was to decline. "Someone else deserves this more," he whispered to the shocked event coordinator. The universe does not operate on a system of merit or deservingness. Its gifts flow freely, like sunlight through an open window. Yet so many stand in that light while holding up an umbrella of unworthiness. At the local diner where Harold took his evening coffee, an elderly woman named Rose noticed his troubled expression. As he shared his story, she smiled knowingly and spoke of her own journey, how she once refused an inheritance believing she hadn't earned it. "The greatest disrespect," she said, "is refusing a gift from the universe." That night, Harold sat in his modest apartment surrounded by the whispers of possibility. A thought arose, clear as morning light. What if receiving was not about deserving, but about allowing? What if his resistance to abundance was not humility, but fear dressed in virtue's clothing? The next morning, Harold did something unprecedented. He walked into the travel agency and said yes to his prize. In that moment of acceptance, something shifted within him. The universe, as if waiting for this very signal, began orchestrating a symphony of synchronicities. The travel dates aligned perfectly with a reunion of long-lost friends in the same location. A fellow passenger turned out to be a publisher interested in Harold's secret passion for poetry. His simple act of receiving opened doors he never knew existed. You see, the universe does not require you to present credentials before delivering its gifts. It asks only that you stand in the flow of abundance with open arms. Every time you say no to a blessing, you reinforce the wall between yourself and your natural state of prosperity. Sacred practice of receiving. Throughout your day, pause to acknowledge every small gift the universe offers. A warm breeze, a kind word, a moment of beauty. For each one, speak aloud, "Thank you." Then with quiet authority affirm, "I receive without guilt." This practice rewires your relationship with abundance, transforming you from one who deflects to one who accepts. The universe awaits your permission to shower you with blessings. Grant it freely. Chapter 10. Trust. In a sunlit corner of her home, Agnes sat at her weathered oak desk, surrounded by decades of untold stories. Her fingers traced the leather-bound journal she'd kept hidden for 30 years, its chapters filled with verses that had never seen daylight. You have felt this hesitation too, the way your deepest truths yearn to emerge while something holds them back. Trust, that most sacred of doorways, stands before you now as it stood before Agnes. Each morning, Agnes would wake before dawn, pen hovering above paper, waiting for permission from an authority that existed only in her mind. The universe whispered through her, but fear muffled its voice. This resistance you know well, the endless waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, the final approval that never comes. One autumn afternoon, while Agnes arranged books at the community center, her journal slipped from her bag. A young girl, no more than 12, discovered it beneath a chair. Before Agnes could intervene, the child had already begun reading. Tears welled in the girl's eyes as she spoke the words aloud, words that seemed written precisely for her wounded heart. This moment reveals a universal truth. When you trust your inner voice, you become a channel for healing that extends far beyond yourself. The universe does not require your permission to work through you. It awaits only your trust. Trust is not a passive state of hoping or wishing. It is an active force, a conscious choice to align with the flow of life itself. When Agnes witnessed her words touching that child's heart, something within her shifted. She realized her verses were never meant to hide in leather-bound secrecy. They were seeds waiting to bloom in the light of sharing. You hold similar seeds within you. Your hesitation, like Agnes's, stems not from lack of ability, but from temporary forgetting. You have forgotten that trust is your natural state. The universe speaks through you not because you have earned it, but because you are it. The flow of life moves not through force, but through trust. Every masterpiece, every breakthrough, every moment of transformation begins with this sacred surrender. Not a surrender of power, but a surrender of resistance. Sacred practice of trust. Each night, as the world grows quiet, take your journal and write these words with deliberate awareness. I trust life. I trust the timing. I trust myself. Read them slowly, 3 times, letting each word settle into your being. This is not mere repetition. It is a restoration of your natural state. Through this practice, you remember what you have always known, that trust is not something to achieve, but something to remember. Part 2, the rewiring, shedding what you thought was true. Chapter 11, stop pushing, start aligning. In the fading light of a high school baseball field, Frank stood at the fence, his knuckles white from gripping the chain link as he watched his son practice. For 30 years he had shaped champions through sheer force of will. Now, in retirement, he poured that same intensity into his son's future. You know this energy well, the burning desire to ensure success, the fear that without constant pressure, everything might fall apart. But hidden within Frank's story lies a truth you've glimpsed in your own life. Force creates resistance, while alignment creates flow. Each evening, Frank would drill his son for hours, correcting every motion, analyzing every swing. The boy's natural grace began to fade beneath the weight of expectations. This mirrors an eternal principle. What you chase through force will always retreat. What you embrace through trust will naturally unfold. Then came the afternoon when Frank fell ill. Nothing serious, but enough to keep him home for a week. Unable to attend practice, he felt the universe had betrayed his plans. Yet in that forced surrender, something shifted. His son, free from the pressure of watchful eyes, rediscovered his natural rhythm. His performance improved not through added effort, but through its release. Watch how this truth plays out in your own life. Where are you pushing against the current, believing that more force equals better results? The universe responds not to pressure, but to alignment. It flows not through strain, but through surrender. When Frank finally returned to the field, he chose to sit in the stands rather than stand at the fence. He replaced instruction with presence, criticism with trust. In that space of allowing, his son's talent blossomed beyond anything force could have produced. This reflects the deeper wisdom. Manifestation flows through energy, not effort. When you release the grip of control, you create space for the universe to deliver in ways your limited planning could never imagine. Sacred practice of allowing. Select one situation in your life where you've been forcing an outcome. Perhaps a relationship you're trying to control, a goal that feels stuck, or a decision you're pressuring yourself to make. Feel the tension in your body as you think of it. Notice where that resistance lives within you, whether in your shoulders, your chest, or your mind itself. Now speak these words aloud with calm conviction. I realign. I will allow it. For the next 48 hours, step back completely. Release your grip on the situation entirely. No planning, no pushing, no trying to direct the flow. Simply observe with peaceful awareness. Watch how the universe moves when given room to operate, how solutions arise naturally when you create space for divine wisdom to enter. Notice what doors open effortlessly when you stop forcing them. This is not inaction, it is aligned action. Not withdrawal, but wise surrender. It is the sacred art of allowing life to unfold through you rather than by you. In this space of trust, you become a channel for infinite intelligence to work its perfect plan. Chapter 12. How to feel it before it arrives. In a quiet suburb, Margaret stood in an empty bedroom, her hand trailing across a freshly painted crib. Each morning, she would enter this sacred space, adjusting stuffed animals and folding tiny blankets with tender care. To others, this might have seemed premature. Her daughter had not yet announced a pregnancy. But Margaret understood a truth that transcends ordinary timing. You too hold desires that feel distant in linear time. Yet the universe operates not by calendar days but by emotional frequency. When you allow yourself to feel the reality of your desire now, you collapse the illusion of time itself. Margaret didn't just prepare a room, she lived in the feeling of being a grandmother. She felt the weight of a baby in her arms, heard the soft coos, experienced the joy as if it were already present. This is the art of living from the end. Not hoping, not wanting, but being. One autumn morning, Margaret sat in the rocking chair holding a small stuffed bear. Instead of longing, she allowed herself to feel complete fulfillment. She spoke softly to the bear as if it were already her grandchild. In that moment, she crossed a threshold from desire into embodiment. 3 days later, her daughter called with the news. This reveals a fundamental truth about manifestation. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are being. When your emotional state matches the reality you seek, time bends to meet you where you stand. Margaret had discovered what ancient mystics knew, that creation happens first in the realm of feeling. She didn't pray for a grandchild. She became a grandmother in her heart. She didn't wish for the future. She lived it now. Sacred practice of present reality. Choose a heartfelt desire that feels just beyond your reach. Find a private sanctuary where you can be fully present, undisturbed by the world's distractions. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing yourself to sink into a state of peaceful receptivity. Now begin speaking aloud as though your desire has already manifested in its fullness. Walk slowly through your space, letting your voice carry the certainty of completion. I am, I have, I feel. Let these declarations flow naturally, infused with the energy of absolute knowing. Feel how your body responds. Notice the subtle shift in your posture, the warmth in your chest, the lightness in your step. You are not pretending or engaging in mere fantasy. You are aligning yourself with a reality that already exists in the infinite field of potential. Every cell of your being must resonate with this truth. When you speak, let your voice carry the quiet authority of one who knows, rather than hopes. After your sacred declaration, take pen to paper and record every sensation that arose during this practice: the quickening of your heart, the tingling in your hands, the expansiveness in your chest. These physical responses are the universe's confirmation that you have touched a deeper reality. You are not imagining what might be. You are awakening to what already is in the quantum field of all possibility. Chapter 13. The Magnetic Power of Relaxation. In the dimly lit studio of WKPX Radio, Clifford Matthews gripped his microphone with white knuckles, watching listener numbers fluctuate on the digital display. Each dip sent waves of tension through his body, causing his voice to tighten and his words to become increasingly measured and controlled. You recognize this pattern, the desperate grip of trying to hold on to what you fear losing. Like water, abundance slips through clenched fingers, yet pools naturally in open palms. For 15 years, Clifford had built his show on careful scripts and calculated delivery. Each word was chosen to maintain his audience, each pause strategically placed. Yet despite his meticulous control, his numbers steadily declined. One evening, exhausted from the constant vigilance, he set aside his notes and simply began to speak. The universe holds a paradox that few understand. True power comes not from force, but from relaxation. When you release the need to control outcomes, you activate an ancient law of attraction that draws everything to you naturally. That night, Clifford spoke about his childhood dream of becoming a storyteller. His voice, no longer strained, carried a warmth that had long been absent. He shared memories of listening to old radio shows under his covers, letting his authentic enthusiasm flow freely. For the first time in years, he forgot to check the listener count. The next morning, his producer called in a state of excitement. Their audience had doubled overnight. But something more significant had shifted. Clifford had discovered the magnetic power of ease. When you operate from a place of calm certainty, you emit a frequency that others instinctively trust. This is not weakness. It is the most potent form of energy you can embody. Like a deep river that moves silently yet carries immense power, relaxed consciousness draws experiences, opportunities, and abundance to you without effort. In the weeks that followed, Clifford abandoned his scripts entirely. His natural rhythm emerged, and with it came a flood of new listeners drawn to his authentic presence. He had stumbled upon what masters have known for millennia. The universe responds not to what you do, but to who you are being. Your power lies not in controlling life, but in trusting it. When you release the exhausting grip of anxiety and allow yourself to simply be, You activate a magnetic force that naturally draws all you desire toward you. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably with your eyes closed. Let a slight smile touch your lips. This signals to your nervous system that you are safe. For 7 minutes, silently repeat these words. My ease draws everything in. Feel the truth of this statement in your body. Notice how relaxation creates space for abundance to flow naturally toward you. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. Your identity is the gateway. In a small workshop tucked away in the heart of the city, Ethel's fingers danced across luxurious fabrics, creating masterpieces for others while wearing threadbare clothes herself. Each evening she would watch her creations leave on the shoulders of wealthy women, never imagining she could be one of them. You see this pattern repeated countless times across the ages. Souls who diminish their light, believing they must remain in the shadows of their own creations. Yet the universe responds not to what you do, but to who you believe you are. The ancient wisdom speaks of a profound truth. Your self-concept is the mold into which all manifestation must flow. Like water taking the shape of its container, your reality can only expand to the edges of your self-image. When you see yourself as small, the universe must comply with that vision. One day, as Ethel stitched a magnificent evening gown, something stirred within her. Instead of immediately packaging it for delivery, she tried it on. Standing before the mirror, she saw not a seamstress, but an artist, a creator. In that moment, her identity shifted. This internal transformation activated a law as old as creation itself. The outer must always align with the inner. As Ethel began designing pieces for herself, wearing them with quiet dignity, her wealthy clients noticed a change. They began asking about her own designs, drawn to the authenticity of her self-expression. Your identity is not a fixed point, but a choice you make in each moment. The universe does not question your self-concept. It simply matches it with perfect precision. When you declare, I am, the entire field of potential rearranges itself to support that declaration. Within months, Ethel's workshop transformed into a design studio. Her creations now bore her name, not as a servant to others' visions, but as an artist in her own right. She had discovered what sages have taught through millennia: change your self-concept and you change your world. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to align with your true identity, finding a quiet space where you can commune with your deepest self. Complete these statements. I am the kind of person who. Write 5 endings that reflect not who you are now, but who you are becoming. Let your hand flow freely, allowing your higher self to speak through you without judgment or limitation. Trust that divine wisdom flows through your pen. These words are not mere affirmations. They are declarations to the universe of who you truly are, sacred commitments that ripple through the fabric of creation itself. As you write, feel the truth of each statement resonating in your heart, knowing that the universe has already begun shifting to match your elevated self-concept. This is not an exercise in imagination, but an act of spiritual revelation. Chapter 15, Neutrality is Power. In the grand concert halls of Vienna, a young pianist named Warren practiced until his fingers bled. Each note had to be perfect, each phrase executed with mechanical precision. The upcoming competition consumed his thoughts, leaving room for nothing else. Yet with each passing day, his music grew more rigid, more lifeless. You see, the universe operates on a principle so subtle that most overlook it entirely, the law of paradoxical intent. The harder you grasp at something, the more it slips through your fingers like water. This is not punishment, it is physics at the energetic level. When you need something desperately, you emit a frequency of lack. This vibration tells the universe, I don't have this and I'm not okay without it. The field then mirrors this lack back to you with perfect accuracy. It is one of the most ancient truths. Desperation repels, while peace attracts. One evening, after another frustrating practice session, Warren collapsed onto the piano bench in exhaustion. For the first time in months, he stopped trying. In that moment of surrender, his fingers found the keys without effort. The music flowed through him rather than from him. He had stumbled upon the sacred state of neutrality. The day of the competition arrived. Warren sat at the piano, but something had changed. The outcome no longer defined him. He played not to win, but because music was his truth. The notes danced with a freedom they had never known under the weight of his previous desperation. The judges sat transfixed, hearing not just music, but authentic expression. This is the great paradox of manifestation. What you chase will run. What you release will return. The universe responds not to your actions, but to your state of being. When you need nothing, you become open to everything. Warren won first place that day, but he had already received something far more valuable, the understanding that peace is more powerful than pursuit. His victory came not from wanting it more, but from wanting it less. Sacred practice. Bring to mind your deepest desire, the one that makes your heart race with longing, the dream that visits you in quiet moments and stirs your soul to yearning. Now, gently whisper these words, even if it never comes, I am whole. Feel your breath deepen as you surrender to this profound truth. Continue until you feel the shift from desperation to peace, from grasping to allowing. This is not resignation. It is alignment with the natural order of creation, a return to the sacred rhythm that governs all manifestation. In this space of neutrality, where attachment dissolves into acceptance, you become a magnet for miracles. The universe responds not to your wants, but to your state of being. And in this moment of deep surrender, you embody the very essence of creative power. Chapter 16. The Law Behind Every Delay. In a small town where time seemed to move like molasses, a grocer's wife named Lois kept a nursery ready. Year after year she painted the walls, arranged stuffed animals, and waited. Each morning she opened the curtains to let sunlight warm the empty crib. Each night she closed them with unwavering faith. The universal law of divine timing operates beyond human understanding. When your heart yearns for something specific, the cosmos moves countless pieces into perfect position, much like a master chess player thinking 20 moves ahead. What appears as delay on the surface often masks an intricate dance of synchronicity beneath. As months turned to years, Lois maintained her ritual of preparation. While others suggested she move on, something within her knew better. She had touched a truth few understand, that patience is not passive waiting, but active trust in the universe's perfect orchestration. Then one morning, a call came that changed everything. Not only was there a child, there was her child. The moment she held the baby, she understood. Every feature, every gesture seemed designed specifically for her family. Even the child's unique needs perfectly matched Lois's specialized experience as a former nurse. Later, while organizing paperwork, Lois discovered something remarkable. Her original adoption application from years ago had contained a crucial error. one that would have matched her with a child whose medical needs she wasn't equipped to handle. What had felt like a cruel delay was actually loving protection. This truth extends far beyond Lois's story. The universe never punishes through postponement. Instead, it arranges circumstances, people, and timing with exquisite precision. What you desire may be delayed because something better is being crafted, or because you are being crafted into someone better equipped to receive it. When your manifestation seems slow in coming, remember, the delay is not denial. It is divine choreography, moving pieces you cannot see, arranging details you couldn't imagine, all to bring you something far beyond your original vision. Sacred practice. Take a moment now to write down something in your life that appears delayed, a dream that seems distant, a wish unfulfilled, or a door that remains closed. Beneath it, inscribe these sacred words with deliberate intention. Something better is being aligned. I trust it completely. Let this profound truth sink deep into your being, settling into the quiet spaces of your soul where doubts once lived. The universe's timing is never wrong. It is simply operating on a scale of perfection we cannot yet see. Like a master weaver creating an intricate tapestry, the cosmic intelligence works with threads invisible to our earthly eyes, crafting a masterpiece far more magnificent than our limited vision could conceive. Chapter 17. You are always being guided. In the quiet hours before dawn, a mail carrier named Howard began his daily route. As he sorted letters in the dim light of his truck, a peculiar pattern emerged. The number 444 appeared on 3 consecutive envelopes. That evening, the same number flickered on his clock when he awakened from a dream about his grandfather's old pocket watch. The language of the universe flows through every moment of your existence. Like a river of meaning, it carries messages in the most ordinary circumstances. A repeated number, a song that plays at precisely the right moment, a chance encounter that shifts your entire path. These are not coincidences. They are the universe engaging you in sacred dialogue. Howard noticed more signs appearing. A conversation overheard at the coffee shop mentioned a lawyer's office he'd never heard of. Later that day, a wrong turn led him directly past that same office. Inside his heart, a quiet knowing urged him to step inside. Yet the human mind often dismisses these subtle messages. When Howard first resisted the detour on Oak Street, he didn't realize it would lead him to Mrs. Chen, an elderly woman whose life he'd saved from a fall 2 winters ago. She had been searching for him, holding the key to an unexpected blessing, his grandfather's estate, which she'd helped manage as a legal clerk decades ago. You live within a field of infinite intelligence that speaks not in shouts, but in whispers. Every synchronized moment, every repeated symbol, every random encounter carries potential wisdom. The universe doesn't force its guidance. It invites you to notice, to wonder, to follow the breadcrumbs of meaning laid before you. In Howard's second encounter with divine timing, he initially refused to deviate from his usual route during a rainstorm. But something made him pause. Following this intuitive nudge led him straight to Mrs. Chen again, who had been waiting to share crucial documents about his inheritance. These moments of synchronicity reveal a profound truth. Life itself is a conversation between your consciousness and the cosmic intelligence that surrounds you. Every detail can carry meaning. Every interruption might be an invitation. Every coincidence could be a carefully placed sign. Sacred practice. For the next 24 hours, approach each moment as if the universe is speaking directly to you. When your plans are interrupted, when numbers repeat, when songs or words catch your attention, Pause. Write down 3 instances that feel like guidance. In the evening, reflect on their potential meaning. What message might be waiting in these sacred signs? Chapter 18. The Illusion of Struggle. In the rolling hills of a distant valley, a young woman named Edna watched her family toil beneath the merciless sun. Day after day, they bent their backs to the earth, believing that only through endless labor could abundance flow. Yet in the quiet moments between chores, Edna's hands found their way to her brushes, creating vibrant scenes that seemed to pulse with life itself. You have been taught that reward comes only through struggle. This belief runs deep in the soil of human consciousness, passed down through generations like a cherished heirloom. But the universe operates on different principles. It responds not to the weight of your burden, but to the lightness of your being. When you align with joy, you tap into the natural current of creation. Struggle is not a prerequisite for abundance. It is often the very barrier that blocks it. The universe doesn't measure your worthiness by the calluses on your hands or the weight of your sacrifice. It responds to the resonance of your spirit. Edna discovered this truth one autumn evening when a wealthy traveler stopped to admire her paintings, which she'd hung in the barn window. In that moment of pure creative expression, she had unknowingly aligned with a force greater than effort. The traveler purchased her largest piece for a sum that cleared her family's decades-old debt. This single act of following her joy accomplished what years of struggle could not. Not because painting was easier than farming, but because it allowed Edna to flow with, rather than against, the current of her own nature. You see, joy is not a frivolous indulgence to be earned after your work is done. It is a compass pointing toward your highest alignment. When you move in harmony with what brings you joy, you enter a state of coherence with the universe itself. In this state, miracles appear as naturally as breath. Sacred practice. Take your journal and inscribe 3 areas of your life where struggle feels constant. Those places where you find yourself pushing against an invisible wall, depleting your energy day after day. For each one, pose this question to your inner wisdom. What would joy do here? Sit in sacred silence and allow the answers to arise without judgment or censure. You may be surprised by what surfaces from the depths of your knowledge. Trust that the path of joy is not an escape from responsibility. It is your highest responsibility to the divine flow within you. By honoring your natural inclinations toward lightness and ease, you align yourself with the universe's own momentum. This is not mere indulgence, but profound spiritual practice. Chapter 19. Quantum leaps happen in stillness. In a small town where trains no longer stopped, Albert spent his evenings at an old wooden desk, pouring his heart into chapters that seemed destined for darkness. For 40 years, he had guided locomotives through mountain passes and desert plains, collecting stories like precious cargo. Now retired, he wrote them down with trembling hands, dreaming they might touch others as they had touched him. You may recognize yourself in Albert's yearning, the desire to share your truth with the world, to leave a mark that outlasts your footsteps. Yet, like so many before you, you might believe that manifestation requires constant motion, endless effort, perpetual doing. The universe operates on frequencies, not force. When Albert exhausted every conventional path, query letters, writing workshops, endless revisions, he finally collapsed into surrender. He placed his manuscript in a box and stored it in his attic, not in defeat but in pure release. At that moment, something shifted in the quantum field. 3 weeks later, a publisher's assistant, lost on her way to another appointment, stopped at Albert's house for directions. As they spoke over tea, she noticed a single page that had fallen from the attic through a crack in the ceiling. The words caught her eye, and she asked about their origin. Within months, Albert's stories found their way to thousands of readers. This is how the universe works, through invisible orchestration, not human force. Your greatest breakthroughs often arrive not through action, but through surrender. When Albert stopped pushing against closed doors, an unexpected window opened. You see, manifestation operates in the realm of energy before it appears in the realm of matter. Quantum physics reveals that observation affects reality, but so does the frequency of the observer. When you shift from the frequency of seeking to the frequency of allowing, you alter the very field of possibilities around you. Like Albert, you may need to lay down your strategies, your timelines, your carefully constructed plans, not in resignation, but in profound trust that the universe holds a vision even greater than your own. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. For 15 minutes, sit in complete silence. Allow yourself to fully experience your dream as if it has already manifested. Then ask yourself, what would I no longer worry about? Let the answers arise naturally, for in identifying what falls away, you glimpse the unnecessary weight you've been carrying. In releasing these worries, you create space for miracles to enter through unexpected doors. Chapter 20. Receiving is your birthright, not a bargain. In a small chapel among ancient oaks, Beatrice played the organ each Sunday, her fingers dancing across keys worn smooth by decades of hymns. Though her music lifted hearts to heaven, she could not lift her own eyes to accept the blessings that constantly sought her out. When wealthy patrons offered to fund her dream of teaching music to underprivileged children, she declined, whispering, "I haven't done enough to deserve such kindness." When an anonymous donor wished to repair her family's weathered home, she turned away the gift, believing herself unworthy of such grace. You too may recognize this pattern within yourself. The hesitation to receive, the constant questioning of whether you've earned life's gifts. Yet this very belief keeps you tethered to limitation, for the universe operates not through merit but through alignment. The truth lies waiting in the silence between your thoughts. You were born worthy. Your existence itself is proof of your deservingness. The universe does not maintain a cosmic ledger of your good deeds and shortcomings. It simply responds to your willingness to receive. One winter morning, as snow fell in gentle whispers, an envelope appeared on Beatrice's organ. Inside lay a ticket to Vienna, a city she'd dreamed of visiting since childhood. Her first instinct was to refuse, to find the sender and return this excessive gift. But something stirred within her soul, a quiet voice that whispered, "Accept." For the first time, she did not argue. She did not list reasons why others deserved it more. She simply said yes. That single acceptance transformed not just her journey to Vienna, but her entire relationship with abundance. You see, grace does not require negotiation. The universe does not need you to present your credentials before blessing you. When you understand this truth, you unlock a flow that has been waiting lifetimes to reach you. Your worthiness is not earned, it is inherent. It existed before your first breath and will remain long after your last. The only question is, will you allow yourself to receive what has always been yours? Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be alone. Stand with your arms open wide, palms facing upward in a position of receptivity. With each repetition, allow the words to sink deeper into your being, not as mere sounds, but as truth awakening in your cells. Say aloud 10 times, I receive. I allow it. I do not need to earn. Feel into each word. Let them dissolve the ancient barriers you've built against abundance. Let them remind you of what your soul has always known. You were born worthy of all that you desire. Part 3, with the embodiment, living as the divine creator. Chapter 21, becoming the energy of your desire. In the quiet corners of life, there exist those who hold themselves apart from joy, believing they must first prove their worth. Such was the story of Florence, whose skilled hands brought harmony to countless pianos while her own heart remained untouched. You see, Florence lived in a world of perfect pitch but imperfect beliefs. Each day she restored music to others' lives while denying the melody meant for her own. "When I achieve more," she would whisper, "then I'll deserve love." But the universe operates through a different wisdom, one that you too must embrace to transform your reality. The truth that Florence discovered, and that now beckons to you, is this: the universe responds not to your requests, but to your resonance. It mirrors back not what you desire, but who you are being in each moment. Watch how this truth unfolded in Florence's life. One morning, rather than waiting for love to validate her worth, she began living as though love had already arrived. She adorned herself in clothes that made her feel beautiful, not for others' eyes, but for her own soul's delight. She spoke to herself with the tenderness she longed to receive. She set her table for two, savoring each meal as though sharing it with her beloved. The shift was subtle yet profound. And then, on an ordinary Tuesday between the produce and dairy aisles, while reaching for apples with the grace of someone who knew her own worth, love found her. Not because she had finally earned it, but because she had become it. Here lies the sacred key that unlocks all manifestation. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The universe cannot give you love while you vibrate at the frequency of unworthiness. It cannot deliver abundance while you resonate with lack. This principle extends beyond relationships into every corner of your existence. Whatever you seek, be it love, prosperity, or purpose, must first be embodied in your energy field before it can materialize in your physical reality. Sacred practice. Pause now and bring to mind your deepest desire. Ask yourself, what emotion would I feel after this desire arrives? Now, for 1 full hour, become that emotion incarnate. Let it infuse your walk, your voice, your breath. If it is love you seek, move through your space as someone deeply loved. If it is abundance, carry yourself with the quiet confidence of one who knows their worth. This is not pretense, it is energetic leadership. You are showing the universe the frequency at which to meet you. For in the grand symphony of creation, like attracts like, and being precedes receiving. Chapter 22. Manifestation is remembering, not creating. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the veil between worlds grows thin, Gordon walked his postal route with visions dancing at the edges of his consciousness. These weren't mere daydreams. They were whispers from the quantum field calling him home to a truth his heart already knew. You see, creation does not begin with invention. The dreams that visit you in the night, the visions that spark your imagination, these are not fantasies. They are memories of what already exists in the infinite field of possibility. Gordon's cabin appeared to him first in fragments. Weathered wood gleaming in morning light, a stone chimney reaching toward pine-scented air, windows that caught the sunset just so. Yet each time these images surfaced, he would dismiss them. labeling them as impossible flights of fancy. But the universe speaks in persistence, and what calls to you repeatedly carries the signature of truth. One morning, sitting at his kitchen table, Gordon finally surrendered to the vision. His trembling hand picked up a pencil, and he began to sketch. Each line felt less like creation and more like remembering, as though his hand was simply tracing what had always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. Years passed, and that sketch remained tucked away in a drawer. Then, one autumn day, while delivering mail to a real estate office, Gordon froze. There, posted in the window, was a photograph that matched his drawing down to the last detail. The same angle of the roof, the same placement of windows, even the way shadows fell across the porch. This truth now beckons to you. Your deepest desires are not random wishes. They are echoes of what already exists in the quantum field, waiting for you to remember them into physical form. When a vision persists in your consciousness, it is not your imagination running wild. It is your soul recognizing what belongs to you in the vast tapestry of possibility. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow yourself to remember your future life. What do you see? Let the details emerge as though you're recalling a familiar place, because you are. When the vision feels complete, speak these words aloud. I already know this place. Feel the truth of this statement in your bones. You are not creating something new. You are remembering what has always been yours. Chapter 23, Living from Completion, Not Lack. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, a small tailor shop stood quietly waiting for customers who rarely came. Inside, Helen's skilled hands moved swiftly through fabric, yet her words spoke only of scarcity. No one comes anymore, she would say, her shoulders heavy with the weight of lack. You hold within you the power to shift any reality, not through force, but through embodiment. The universe responds not to what you say you want, but to who you are being. One morning, Helen woke to an inner knowing. Instead of hunching over her work table waiting for clients, she began arranging her schedule as though it were already full. She placed her appointment book prominently on her desk, blocked out specific times for consultations, and moved through her shop with the quiet confidence of someone whose success was assured. When the phone rang, she no longer answered with desperate eagerness, but with the calm poise of a professional whose time was valuable. Yes, I can fit you in next Tuesday at 2, she would say, consulting her carefully structured calendar. Her posture straightened, her voice carried authority, and her entire being radiated the energy of abundance. Within 7 days, her calendar began filling with actual appointments. The universe simply aligned with the version of Helen who already existed in the quantum field, the Helen who knew her worth, who expected success, who embodied prosperity. This truth awaits your recognition. Your external world must conform to your internal state of being. When you shift from hoping to knowing, from seeking to embodying, reality has no choice but to reflect this new frequency. Consider the story of Helen's transformation in the weeks that followed. A wealthy client arrived, commenting that she had heard of Helen's exclusive tailoring service. Helen smiled, knowing she had created this reputation energetically before it manifested physically. She had stopped being someone who needed clients and became someone who served them excellently. The power of this principle lies not in pretending, but in genuine energetic alignment. You are not fooling the universe. You are aligning with a version of yourself that already exists in the infinite field of possibility. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and take out your journal. Now write a letter from your future self. the version of you who already has what you desire. Let this self speak to you of how life feels, what has changed, what wisdom has been gained. Write with the certainty of one who knows, not one who hopes. Read this letter every morning for 7 days, allowing yourself to feel the truth of these words in your very being. Remember, you are not creating something new. You are stepping into what already is. Chapter 24. Allow the universe to surprise you. In a dimly lit park, an elderly man sat before a weathered chessboard, his fingers tracing the familiar patterns of pieces he had moved thousands of times before. Norman's life had followed a similar pattern since his wife's passing. Calculated moves, predictable outcomes, careful planning. Each morning, he would write detailed lists of how his day should unfold, seeking comfort in the illusion of control. You must understand that the universe operates beyond the limitations of human planning. When you grip tightly to your own vision, you inadvertently block the infinite possibilities that await. Norman's transformation began on an autumn evening, when exhaustion finally overcame his need for control. His carefully crafted plans had brought neither peace nor progress. In that moment of surrender, he simply whispered, "I don't know anymore," and with those words, the rigid walls of his resistance began to crumble. The universe speaks in the language of surprise, in unexpected encounters, in unplanned moments that carry seeds of transformation. Your task is not to direct every move, but to remain open to the cosmic choreography that unfolds when you release your grip. One morning, Norman's usual chess partner didn't appear. Instead of forcing his routine, he sat quietly, watching children play nearby. A young girl approached, curious about the chess pieces. She reminded him of his granddaughter, whom he hadn't seen in years due to family tensions. That evening, for the first time, he didn't plan his next day. He simply went to sleep with an open heart. Within weeks, Norman's life began shifting in ways his logical mind could never have orchestrated. A chance encounter led to reconnection with his estranged family. The park became not just a place for chess, but a gathering spot where he taught young children the game, finding joy he hadn't known existed. When you release your grip on how life should unfold, you create space for divine intelligence to work through you. The universe holds a grander vision than your mind can conceive. Sacred practice. Choose one goal that you've been tightly controlling. Stand in a quiet space and speak these words aloud. I release this to the universe. Surprise me. For the next 7 days, keep a small notebook by your bedside. Before sleep, write down any unexpected blessings that appeared, no matter how small they may seem. Watch as the universe reveals its own perfect timing, its own magnificent plan that exceeds your careful calculations. Chapter 25. Let life be gentle. In a small village bakery where the scent of fresh bread once filled the morning air, Ruth stood before empty shelves. Her mother's recipes lay untouched, gathering dust. Through the window, dawn barely broke, yet exhaustion had already settled into her bones. She had spent years believing that success demanded ceaseless motion, rising before the sun, working until her hands trembled, pushing through fatigue as though it were merely weakness of will. You see, the world has taught you that worth comes through constant doing, that rest is laziness, that gentleness is weakness, that success demands sacrifice of self. But these are not the ways of universal law. When Ruth's hands began to shake too severely to knead dough, when her vision blurred from endless hours, her body spoke what her heart had long whispered. There is another way. In the quiet of her forced rest, wisdom began to seep in like morning light through curtains. The universe operates through the principle of divine receptivity. Notice how flowers do not strain to bloom, how rivers do not force their flow. There is a sacred power in softness, in allowing, in the gentle unfoldment of natural timing. One morning, still wrapped in her robe, Ruth watched a butterfly land on her windowsill. Its wings opened and closed with unhurried grace. Something shifted in her that moment, a recognition that perhaps her mother's legacy wasn't about the recipes at all, but about the joy she brought to baking, the ease with which she moved through her kitchen like a dancer in her element. Ruth began again, but differently. She started later in the mornings. She took breaks to sit in her garden. She listened to her body's rhythms. And something miraculous occurred. The bread began rising higher. The crusts turned golden with a perfection she had never achieved through force. Customers remarked that they could taste love in every bite. This is the sacred truth. When you soften, life softens toward you. When you release the grip of constant doing, you open yourself to receive. Your gentle presence becomes a vessel through which miracles flow naturally, effortlessly. Sacred practice. Speak to yourself gently today as though addressing a beloved child. Any time you feel tense or notice your shoulders creeping toward your ears, pause and whisper these sacred words. Let it be soft. Let it be kind. Feel how these simple words dissolve the hardness within, like morning dew softening the earth. Let this gentle mantra remind you that force is not the way. Tenderness is the key that unlocks the door to grace. Chapter 26. Abundance is a frequency, not a goal. In the dim light of a subway station, a melody floats through the stale air, transforming the mundane into magic. A weathered saxophone gleams in Harvey's hands, not as an instrument of desperation, but as a channel for joy. Though coins scatter sparsely in his open case, his eyes remain closed, lost in the pure ecstasy of creation. You see, abundance flows not from what you have, but from what you feel. The universe responds not to your bank account, but to your energetic signature. When Harvey plays, he embodies the vibration of wealth, not because of what enters his case, but because of what flows through his heart. In those underground moments, Harvey teaches a truth older than currency itself, that true abundance is a state of being, not a state of having. Watch how he sways with each note, how his fingers dance across the keys, how his entire being radiates the wealth of pure creation. This is the frequency that the universe recognizes and mirrors back in material form. One evening, a small club owner offers Harvey a regular spot at half his usual rate. Though his pockets are nearly empty, Harvey feels a quiet knowing. He declines with grace, continuing to play his subway symphonies with undiminished joy. Before the night ends, another club owner emerges from the crowd, offering triple the previous rate. This is not a coincidence. It is cosmic law in action. The universe does not reward desperation or sacrifice. It responds to resonance. When you vibrate at the frequency of abundance, regardless of external circumstances, physical reality must shift to match your inner state. Money, you see, is merely one expression of abundance. But abundance itself? That is an energy that flows through all things. Through music, through laughter, through the simple joy of being alive. Harvey understood this truth not through study but through lived experience. Each note he played was a declaration to the universe. I am already complete. I am already fulfilled. I am already abundant. And so it must be with you. Your circumstances do not determine your abundance. your energy does. When you align with the frequency of wealth, through gratitude, through joy, through the pure pleasure of being, the material world has no choice but to reflect this back to you. Sacred practice. List 3 moments today that made you feel abundant, no matter how small. These could be as simple as savoring your morning coffee, receiving a kind smile from a stranger, or feeling the warmth of sunlight on your skin. Take time to bask in each memory for 2 minutes, allowing yourself to fully re-experience the feelings of joy, gratitude, and abundance that accompanied these moments. As you recall each instance, notice how your energy shifts and your vibration naturally rises to match the frequency of wealth. Let these memories anchor you in the truth that abundance is your natural state. Chapter 27. Become unavailable for struggle. In the bustling courthouse, a young stenographer named Loretta sits at her desk, fingers poised above her machine. The weight of others' burdens rests heavily on her shoulders. A colleague's marital troubles, a friend's financial crisis, a neighbor's endless drama. Each day she types others' stories while her own life stands still. You must understand this ancient truth. The universe responds not just to your words, but to your energetic boundaries. When you become a vessel for everyone else's chaos, you signal to the universal forces that chaos is your chosen frequency. Watch now as Loretta reaches her moment of transformation. After another draining day of absorbing others' problems, she stands before her mirror and speaks words that alter her reality. No more. This is not merely a phrase, it is an energetic decree to the cosmos itself. Within days, a shift begins. Phone calls seeking advice gradually decrease. Drama-filled lunch invitations mysteriously reschedule themselves. The universe, ever responsive to clear boundaries, begins orchestrating a new pattern in her life. One morning, Loretta faces a choice: attend another exhausting dinner with a chronically troubled friend, or honor her own peace. For the first time, she cancels. In that space of chosen solitude, inspiration for her own long-forgotten novel flows through her. This single act of energetic boundary setting creates a ripple that transforms her entire life. You see, the universe operates on principles of energetic clarity. When you declare yourself unavailable for struggle, the field itself must reorganize to match your new frequency. It is not unkindness to others. It is alignment with your highest truth. Loretta's transformation teaches us that boundaries are not walls. They are declarations of worth. Each time you say no to energy that depletes you, you say yes to the abundance that awaits you. The universe cannot deliver your highest good when your energy is dispersed in others' challenges. Sacred practice. Say aloud with clear, unwavering conviction, I am unavailable for drama, struggle, or delay. Let these words resonate through your entire being, feeling their power ripple outward into the universal field. Repeat this sacred declaration 3 times daily, at sunrise, midday, and sunset, for 5 consecutive days. As you speak these words, envision a golden light surrounding you, creating an impenetrable shield that allows only aligned energies to enter your sphere. Notice how the very vibration of these words begins to shift your reality, drawing you closer to your highest path with each utterance. Chapter 28. You are the Oracle. In the quiet halls of a university library, an aging professor named Edgar sits at his usual desk, now empty of student papers. The familiar scent of books surrounds him, but his purpose has vanished with retirement. Night after night, he begins writing his dreams in a leather-bound journal, not knowing that he holds the key to a universal truth. You have been taught to seek wisdom outside yourself, in the opinions of others, in the noise of the world. But the deepest truth awaits in the whispers of your own heart. What Edgar discovered, and what you must now understand, is that the voice within carries the seeds of your destiny. Each morning, Edgar would read his dream journal, noting patterns and impressions. When he dreamed of teaching in a garden, he dismissed it as nostalgia. Yet when a community center called seeking a volunteer to teach meditation in their courtyard, he recognized the alignment. One by one, his dreams began stepping into reality, not through force or planning, but through trust. The universe speaks through your intuition, your feelings, your quiet knowing. You don't need more signs or external validation. You need only to trust what you already know. The answers you seek are not hidden in mystery. They live in the wisdom of your own heart. Watch as Edgar faces a crucial moment. An invitation to lead a writing workshop arrives, but logic says he's too old, too retired, too past his prime. In the silence of his morning meditation, he feels a gentle pull toward yes. Against all rational arguments, he follows this inner knowing. The workshop becomes a turning point, leading him to author a book that touches thousands. You see, divine intelligence flows through you constantly. It speaks in feelings, in dreams, in those quiet moments when you know without knowing how you know. This is not a mystical coincidence. It is the natural language of the universe expressing through your consciousness. Edgar's transformation reveals that fulfillment arrives not through external achievement, but through alignment with your inner truth. When you trust your deepest knowing, the universe conspires to confirm your wisdom. Sacred practice. Ask your inner self one question today, something that has been weighing on your heart or stirring in your dreams. Find a quiet moment, away from the world's distractions, and let your consciousness settle into stillness. Then take pen to paper and journal without censoring, allowing the divine wisdom within to flow freely through your words. Trust the first answer that emerges, even if it seems unexpected or challenges your usual patterns of thinking. This practice opens the channel between your conscious mind and the infinite intelligence that courses through your being. Chapter 29, Relaxation is Alignment. In a bustling hospital corridor, a dedicated nurse named Esther rushes between patients, her heart overflowing with care for others while emptying itself of self-nurture. Her hands tend wounds, her voice soothes fears, yet her own spirit whispers for attention unheard. You have learned to give endlessly, believing that service equals worth. Yet the universe speaks a deeper truth. Your ability to receive determines your capacity to truly give. When Esther finally claims 10 sacred minutes each morning for herself, she discovers what you too must understand, that stillness is not selfish, it is essential. In the quiet of dawn, Esther begins sitting in silence. No grand gestures, no complex rituals, just 10 minutes of pure presence. At first, her mind races with pending tasks and others' needs, but gradually something shifts. The universe, ever patient, begins speaking through the spaces between her thoughts. Relaxation is not a pause from power, it is power itself. When you soften, you align with the natural flow of universal energy. Like a river finding its path, abundance moves through the channels of least resistance. Your attention is not dedication, it is interference. Watch as Esther faces a critical moment. A prestigious position opens at the hospital. Instead of working overtime to prove herself worthy, she maintains her morning practice. In the stillness, she feels a quiet certainty. Without pushing or striving, she finds herself naturally selected for the role. The universe operates through surrender, not force. When you release the grip of constant doing, you become a clear channel for divine flow. Esther's transformation reveals that magnetism comes not from endless action, but from aligned being. Your power does not emerge from perpetual motion. It blossoms in the soil of sacred stillness. Just as nature's most profound changes occur in quiet, seeds sprouting, flowers opening, tides turning, your greatest manifestations arise from peaceful presence. Sacred practice. For 3 sacred mornings, begin your day with this simple yet profound question whispered to your soul. How deeply can I relax today? Let this gentle inquiry be your first conscious thought, a sacred invitation to surrender. As you pose this question, notice how your shoulders naturally drop, your breath deepens, your mind quiets. Throughout your day, return to this question whenever you feel tension arise. Watch with loving awareness as your experience transforms, how tasks flow more easily, how wisdom emerges unbidden, how synchronicities multiply. Observe what shifts not just in your outer world, but in the landscape of your being. The universe responds to your willingness to release and receive. Chapter 30. You are it. You always were. You always will be. In a small church among ancient oaks, Leonard stands before his choir one last time. His hands, weathered by decades of conducting, tremble slightly as they rise. For 60 years, he has chased perfection, recognition, mastery, always reaching for some distant horizon of becoming. You too have lived this way, perpetually striving toward an imagined future self. Yet in this sacred moment, as the final notes of Leonard's career hover in the air, a profound truth descends. You have never needed to become anything. The universe whispers this wisdom through every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of stillness. You are not a project to be completed. You are not a puzzle missing pieces. You are the complete expression of divine potential, temporarily forgetting your own magnificence. Watch as Leonard lowers his hands, tears gleaming in his eyes. In this surrender, he feels what you must now remember, that all the striving was merely a dance of forgetting. Every achievement he chased was already encoded in his essence, waiting not to be earned but to be remembered. That night, in the quiet of his study, Leonard sits at his piano. For the first time in 60 years, he doesn't try to compose. He simply allows the music that has always lived within him to flow forth. The melody that emerges becomes his greatest gift to the town, not because he labored to create it, but because he finally allowed himself to be its channel. This is the deepest truth of manifestation. You are not here to become. You are here to remember. Every desire that pulls at your heart is not a sign of lack. It is a beacon guiding you back to your inherent wholeness. The universe is not waiting for you to prove yourself worthy. It is waiting for you to recognize what has always been true. In Leonard's final composition, the town discovers a piece of music that feels both new and anciently familiar. This is the paradox of remembrance. What seems like discovery is actually recognition. What appears as growth is actually returning. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Settle into a comfortable position, either seated on a cushion or in a chair with your feet planted firmly on the ground. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For the next 15 minutes, slowly and deliberately repeat these ancient words of power. I am, I always was, I always will be. Let each syllable resonate deep within your being. Feel how these primordial truths echo through every cell of your body, awakening the dormant knowledge that has always resided within. Allow the vibration of these words to dissolve the illusion of time, revealing the eternal nature of your true self. This is not merely an affirmation, it is a recognition of what has always been true. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through these chapters, you have walked an ancient path of remembrance. What began as words on paper has become a living transmission of truth within you. Feel how different your energy is now from when you first opened this book. That shift in your being is not temporary. It is the awakening of what was always there. The universe has already registered this transformation. Even now, as you read these words, reality is rearranging itself to match your new frequency. Your task is not to make things happen, but to remain steady in this awakened state of being. The manifestations you seek are already in motion. When you feel doubt arising, return to these teachings not as concepts to be learned, but as reminders of your true nature. Let each page serve as a tuning fork, realigning you with the vibration of your power. Read passages aloud when the world's noise threatens to drown out your inner knowing. You are not a seeker anymore. You are the source. The power you've discovered is not something given to you. It is what you are. Your presence alone is a command to the universe, and your calm certainty is the key that unlocks every door. The transformation documented in these chapters was never about changing who you are. It was about stripping away what you are not. Every story, every teaching, every practice was designed to reveal what has always been true. You are the creator of your reality. From this moment forward, your life will reflect this truth with increasing clarity, not because you are trying to make it so, but because you have remembered who you are. The universe has no choice but to mirror back the magnificence you have claimed as your natural state. Let these words resonate in your cells. You are the power. You are the presence. You are the divine in form. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.